Gurubhyo Namaha. I welcome you all for this third part of presentation on proud to be a civil engineer. Let me share the screen. Today, we are going to have in-depth information about the civil engineering specialization. So, the information which I am going to provide here will be more in-depth of civil engineering. So, you will have a complete picture. So, this is the last part of my presentation. So, towards proud to be a civil engineer. Okay. So I think this presentation will give a complete overview on civil engineering, guys. Okay, so where you can feel proud being a part of this civil engineering, era, right, or eternity. Yeah. So let me start with. So here, introduction to civil engineering. Indeed, we are going to provide. So this presentation deals with introduction to civil engineering, whereas the scope of different fields of civil engineering as well. So here, the points which we are going to deal up with architecture and town planning, building materials, construction technology, environmental engineering, geotechnical, hydraulics, water resources and irrigation engineering, remote sensing and GIS, which is the geographical information system, structural engineering, surveying, and transportation engineering. So let me start with the presentation. Also deals with different types of roads. So in the presentation, I'm going to show you different types of the roads based on its definition, based on its cross section, based on its components, and the different types of roads and their function. Along with roads, so we are going to discuss about the bridges also, how you define a bridge, and what are the different functions of a bridge and its classification. And coming to dams, again, so dam, how you define it as dam, what are its functions and its classification. See why I'm showing these three as a major structures in civil engineering, because the roads are the main sources of infrastructure development. Coming to bridges, right? So bridges makes your city into a smart city in terms of connectivity. And dams, as you know, these are the important structures so which safeguard water in terms of drinking, in terms of for the irrigation purposes. Okay, so that's how we are going to start our presentation. And this presentation also deals with some kind of infrastructure facilities and what are the different types of infrastructure and the role of civil engineers in infrastructure development and the effect of infrastructure on economic development of a country. See how this civil engineering playing a vital role in developing the infrastructure towards economic development of our country. So this also we are going to share a few. So here, how you define an engineering. So engineering is an ingenious means, so where we call it as a clever person. So in Latin America. So engineering is not a small word, right? So whenever people call you as an engineer, so by that you are so clever indeed in terms of your area. So engineer cleverly uses the available natural resources for the benefit of mankind. Definitely. See, there is a difference between a normal layman and an engineer, right? So what's the difference? The layman, without any engineering background, he just uses the material based on its experience, right? But engineer, he uses the material based on its cleverness. So that's how engineer cleverly uses the available natural resources. He never wastes the materials. He never wastes the resources. Okay, because he knows the importance of the natural resources available on Earth, right? Definitely, which is going to benefit the human mankind. So here, engineers also provide the comforts to mankind and makes little comfortable, right? In terms of shelter, in terms of drinking, right? So in terms of developing infrastructure facilities. So that is how we are nowadays. We are so comfort in your rooms, where I'm talking in front of system, so where I am sharing my views along with you. It's just based on the technology, based on the comfort what I am having in my house, right? So that all made by an engineer. So here I would like to share one a small code which I recently found in Facebook. See, the first medicine who invented for this COVID-19 is by the civil engineer. Can you tell me what is that medicine? That medicine is home. So because the residentials are all developed by a civil engineer. So nowadays, even Narendra Modi and many, you know, big people are talking that speaking about the first foremost medicine is staying at home. So the homes are developed by a civil engineer. So by that, we should feel very proud to be a civil engineer, right? So here the application of scientific and mathematical knowledge is also very important, and the rational thinking to improve living standards. So here why in the second part of my presentation where I told you maths and science is one of the important in civil engineering, because so that is going to helpful to you in terms of application of your scientific and mathematical knowledge to improve the living standards. Okay, so just constructing uh, a structure, it won't um, talks much. So you have to improve the living standards based on your scientific and mathematical knowledge. So that is what exactly the engineering means. So coming to our engineering point of view, so who called an civil engineer? So it's the oldest branch of engineering, so which is the next to the military engineering, and all engineering works, so other than military purposes, were grouped into a civil engineering like mechanical, electrical, electronics, and present day information technology is also followed into it in terms of computer science engineering, right? See, a professional engineering discipline that deals with the analysis. So here the discipline in our civil engineering, we deals with analysis, we deals with the design, we deals with the construction and maintenance of infrastructure facilities such as buildings, bridges, dams, roads, etc. Right? So we are all doing constructions against nature. So we are all using the natural resources for this construction activities, right? So there are a few more points like the application of physical, mathematical, and scientific principles for the convenience of the civilization. So that is how basic sciences are very important to know to make our life better. So here civil engineering is everywhere, right? Isn't it? So civil engineering is not just at one location. Everywhere we can see our civil engineering thing. Civil engineering is a composite of many disciplines specifically, and that includes the structural engineering, water resources and water engineering, waste management, foundation engineering, and so on. So that is how civil engineering is everywhere. Wherever you go, definitely civil engineering role will be there in that particular place. Coming to building big, how big you are building your structure. So building big in the sense, all your buildings and structures in terms of cities, infrastructure, transportation, arts and architectural point of view. So the future is from the civil engineer or by the civil engineer is no limit. So whatever you imagine, you can put that into a real existence. That is how you can always think big. Okay, thinking big is not enough. Building big is very important, right? Everyone can think, but making that into reality is always happens with the civil engineering. So coming to the natural disasters and the civil engineering, so the challenges for the civil engineers in terms of very many natural disasters there, like a tornado, isn't it? An earthquake, flood. So these are all the natural disasters, and where the civil engineering is playing a vital role in terms of safeguarding us from the natural disasters, right? By constructing an earthquake-resisting houses, right? By constructing a dams and reservoirs to safeguarding this flood water, isn't it? So where the structures can withstand these huge tornadoes. So that is how civil engineering is fighting against the natural disasters. I think this slide, which I already showed in the first of my presentation. So these are the different disciplines of civil engineering. And coming to the first foremost, architecture and town planning. See, there is a lot of government jobs placed in civil engineering, so where you can be a town planning engineer, okay, for your within places. So here, giving beauty to buildings is the duty of an architecture. So where he is going to enhance the appearance of the structure and maintaining a proper heritage as well. Just giving appearance is not a big deal, but maintaining with a proper heritage, maintaining with the proper needs to the public is very important. And proper planning of towns and cities also will be done by a town planning engineer. He is planning the layout, he plans the road, he separates the commercial, residential, economic, and industrial areas. See, if you take an example of Hyderabad, so there is a special industrial zones available. Your industries never come together with the commercial and residential aspect, isn't it? So there are education institutions which are aside of your cities. There will be commercial locations, there will be residential locations, economically and industrial areas. So that separation was done by a planning engineer only. And planning green belt, like planning sewage disposal units, planning water treatment plants and water storage units. So this is what a planning engineer do. So this is a foremost department in civil engineering in terms of architecture, in terms of town plan. So coming to the next one, which is the building materials technology. So building materials plays a vital role in terms of structural strength. Every material plays an important role. So here, this deals with the materials which are used for construction. I think you all know the materials which are used for the construction, like brick, tiles, right? Soil, cement, sand, aggregates, steel, wood, glass, aluminum, like so on. So like that, there are plenty engineering materials available, which we call as a building materials. So some are natural and some are man-made. If you take bamboo, bamboo is a natural building material, so which are using nowadays for green construction. So like that, you can find many natural materials, and aggregate is a natural material, isn't it? So like that. So this deals with the proper use of desired materials, so economically and safely. So civil engineer is a person who is going to decide the materials which are used for your construction in terms of economical point of view, in terms of safety point of view, right? So the mechanical properties of these materials is very important. So it shall be sufficient to avoid failure and excessive deformation and provide a durability of the structure. See, whenever you come across the building materials, the first and foremost duty of a civil engineer is to go with finding its mechanical properties. What do you mean mechanical properties? See, in engineering, for any material, there will be 4 properties. First one, chemical property. Second one, physical property. Third one is mechanical property. And the fourth one is biological property. So maybe many of building materials never undergo biological property, but these 3 properties are very, very important. So the properties which leads to the strength of the structure is the mechanical property. So as an engineer, you have to go through the mechanical properties of these materials. Then only you can make use of them for the construction activity. The chemical properties shall be maintained good environment. So as we know, so chemical property is also one of the main leader towards improving the mechanical property of building materials. So next one is construction technology and management. So who mainly deals with the planning, scheduling, and the execution of construction activities. Okay, like tendering, isn't it? Planning, scheduling, right? Procurement of materials, procurement of labor, daily activities, daily preparing of daily labor report, right? So daily project report, submitting to the client. So these are all duties done by a construction manager. So it's comprises of men, material, time, and money management. So that is a simple definition where we can define a construction manager. So mainly it comprises with the people, materials, time, and money management. Okay. So that's how a construction technology and management works. And apart from that, the construction managers will have a review contract, order materials. So that is mean by procurement of engineering materials for the construction activities, and hiring and scheduling subcontractors. See, every construction can't be done by a client or can't be done by a contractor, right? So client always procure a contractor. Contractor will distribute works to the subcontractors where we can complete the work within the time. So that is how construction managers are playing a vital role in deciding, ordering materials, in hiring and scheduling the subcontractors work. So the job of a construction manager here is providing a quality and a control ensure projects, so which is in completion of the particular project within the time and within the budget. So that is the reason why cost and time is the major elements of a construction manager. So next one is environmental engineering. So environment is the available nature, as we know, which is around us. So it includes the life support systems such as water, air, land, or soil. Okay, అంతంగా తెలుగులో భూమి, నీరు, ఆకాశం, which are the elements of our earth. So like water, air, and land or soil is the one of the important elements which we use for the environmental engineering purpose. So environmental engineering deals with the technology, so where you are going to save nature from human and natural abuse and pollution. Okay, so it deals with the techniques of water collection, how you are going to purify them, how you are going to supply water from one end to other end, right? And what are the wastewater collections, how you are going to treat the wastewater, how you are going to dispose the waste away from the public location, public places, and how you are controlling the pollution. It may be a sound pollution, it may be a water pollution, it may be land pollution, how you are controlling the different types of pollution. Okay, so that is how the environmental engineering plays an important role towards making public life safe in terms of health. Okay, and this is the one where you can see the different pictures of environmental engineering. So where you can see the water treatment plant, water distribution plants, like sewage treatment plants, and the testings of water here. So how they test water over here in terms of dissolved solids, in terms of turbidity, in terms of dissolved oxygen, like BOD, COD, and all. So that is how the environmental engineering plays a vital role in terms of studying the elements of Earth. Next one is geotechnical engineering. So as we discussed many times, so for the structure, the important sorry guys, small interruption. Yeah. See, as we know, all structures are found on ground. So it the forces from structure are safely to be transferred to the soil, right? As we know. So here, the essential and understanding ground behavior is one of the important mean by a geotechnical engineer. So he should have a clear view in terms of knowing what is the type of soil, what is the strength of that particular soil, whether it can able to sustain for the load or not, what are the different types of foundations available, slopes of ground, retaining structures, and see the highway pavement designs, embankments and earth dams, how to construct the tunnels, groundwater structures, and deep cuts. So these are all important areas where a geotechnical engineer basically focuses on. And you can see a few workplaces of geotechnical engineers, so where they are, gunneting here, soil excavation and soil nailing, right? Where they are, stabilizing the vertical of the soil, right? And taking the core samples or breaking the rocks, right? So to assess the quality of soil or rock to carry the structure, and here the proper knowledge of geotechnical engineering is necessary for safety and the stability of. And here you can see the geotechnical engineer, how the load distribution from structure to the soil. So this is the superstructure, and this is the ground level, and this is the structure which is beneath the ground. So where we call it as a substructure. Okay. So substructure which includes with the foundation. So the foundation soil, this is the load distribution takes place, and this is the resistance towards the load. So where the soil is having a proper bearing capacity, where it can sustain the applied load, so which is falling from the superstructure, right? So you can see the foundation soil and substructure should resist the forces without any failure, where your structure is stable, isn't it? The next one is hydraulic, water resource, and irrigation engineering, right? So there are three main areas which includes in this engineering is hydraulics, relates with water, water resources, the sources of water, and irrigation. So how the irrigation can be done with the help of hydraulics and water resources. So here hydraulics, which deals with the mechanism of water, so which is water in terms of fluid we are using here. Water resource engineering deals with identification and utilization of available water resources, so which is minimizing the loss. Okay, so how better you can utilize the water resources in terms of irrigation, in terms of drinking, in terms of industrial purposes, right? So this is how managing water is one of the important area in water resource engineering. So here surface water such as river and the lake water and groundwater are usually managed. So this also deals with the groundwater utilization, right? So where the groundwater recharge and rainwater harvesting is also one of the importance in your hydraulic engineering. And now you can see the hydraulic structures, water resource and irrigation engineering. See here you can see one of the important Hoover Dam in USA, where the dam is in terms of curve, right? So this is upstream and this is the downstream. Yeah. So this is the upstream and this is the downstream, and this is the structure dam. And then here, the left part, you can see the Falkirk wheel in Scotland. So where it will lift the ships from ground level to this top level, and where the canal, I mean the navigation takes place at this particular elevated height. Okay. So these are the best two examples where this water resources and irrigation structures, usually be. And next you can see the hydraulics and water resource engineering in terms of drainage systems, in terms of detention or retention ponds, navigational waterways, flood control, leaves, dams and lakes. So these are all structures comes under the water resource engineering again. Let me close this. Yeah. So next one, so which is one of the new field in civil engineering, which is the developing nowadays, is the remote sensing and GIS. So which talks about the geographical information system and sensing the earth features. Okay, so it's gonna sense the earth features in terms of soil, in terms of water, in terms of materials available on earth. Okay, so that is how it's gonna sense the ground features. So this is one of the new field that they coming in civil engineering, or already came up with, but developing nowadays. The improvement in space technology, availability of GPS enhances the scope of geographical information system. So there is a satellites in sky which is going to sense the ground features and use the required data in terms of soil, water, and whatever the features, whatever the properties which we required, for our engineering knowledge. And see, it's gonna use good mapping techniques also, and helps to get required information accurately and quickly to effective manage and monitor the available resources for optimal use. So it's gonna give, see nowadays whatever the GPS which we are using and the maps which we are using for reaching your destinations, right? Isn't it? The Google Earth which we are using nowadays, that all is a development took place from geographical information system. So it is a high-tech equipment of map. So it requires a means to locate ourselves in relation to the world around us. So you can see the whole world by sitting in front of the system, right? That is what the development taking place in the geographical information system. See, by sitting here, you can see the things happening in America. You can see the ground features or land features in different places in the world. So that is how it is happening with this GIS high-tech equipment, right? So it deals with the measurement. It's going to give maps. It will monitor. It will model the geographical information around us. So that is what the benefits there in the geographical information system. And coming to the structural engineering, so structure is an assembly of two or more basic elements. What are the elements? Elements, it starts from slab, beams, columns, foundations, right? So structural frameworks, shells, trusses, roof trusses, these are all part elements of the structure which we assemble together, then we call it as a structure. So you can see the left part of the structure, which is the Burj Dubai, and right turn a Petronas Tower in Malaysia. And it deals with the requirement considering design for limit states of collapse and limit state of serviceability. Nowadays, we are designing all structures in terms of strength and in terms of serviceability. Okay. So these are the two things which we combine together to make our structure more sustainable, more durable. Okay. So that is what the latest designs came up with our Indian code standards. So here your structural engineering, which involves the determination of support reactions, obviously, and member forces, and you are going to calculate the moments, you are going to calculate the deflections, deformations, etc. And here the structure which deals with the planning of positions, layouts of different elements and design, the shape of the structure, size of the structure, safety of the structure, serviceability of the structure. This all comes into picture with without sacrificing the safety. And yet, economy is also very important to be considered in designing the structure. And the next important role in the structural engineering, which is the repair and rehabilitation of the structure. See, as the doctors, diagnose the structural, diagnose the person's, problems. In the same way, we have to diagnose the structural problems where we can repair them and where we can rehabilitate the structural structure. So, which is maintaining is a part of structural engineering. Okay, repairing, rehabilitation comes under the maintenance of the structure. And constructing dams, bridges, stadiums, auditoriums, multi-storied buildings, analyzing, designing those structures also comes under the structural engineering aspect. And one of the important field in civil engineering is the surveying. So before any construction, surveying is a must, which is going to happen prior to the construction, isn't it? So here in surveying activity, which is involved in collecting the topographical features, collecting the features which was there on the ground, right, of the location for the future construction. So here in surveying, what they do the feasibility study for what that ground is going to be useful, for what type of constructions it's going to be useful, and what are the other alternatives and most suitable method in evolving that particular area into the development. Okay, and it helps in environmental impact assessment also. So that is the things what the surveyors usually do, and they use the different equipments for doing the surveying. You can measure the land area, you can measure the undulations of the ground, you can do the contouring, you can measure the heights, you can measure the distances, you can measure the area, you can measure the volume. So this all you can do with the help of surveying equipment. So the objectives of surveying here is the execution of survey, so where to collect the topographical data, calculation and analysis of data, so which is going to plotting survey data to create the design map. And here the provision of line, grades and other layout works also. For any construction activities, surveying is one of the important prior construction activity. Okay, so where every construction usually takes place. So the next one is transportation engineering. So where the application of this scientific approach in terms of planning, designing, operation and management of the transportation system. So what are the transportation modes available? Like in terms of roads, in terms of railways, sea or riverways, and canalways also there. You can see the Panama Canal, which Panama Canal is majorly used for water transportation and air transport. Right, so it involves planning, designing, and construction operation, undoubtedly, to maintain the transportation system. So here in air, you can strip runways on roads, railways, and which includes the study, the design of pavement structures. See, for all these transportation engineering, pavement is one of the important structural platform where we can make use of these runways, roadways, railways. Okay, so like that. So coming to in transportation, you're going to study about the different types of payments available, like rigid payments, flexible payments, etc. And the maintenance and upgradation of the docks in the sense like harbors and dock areas. So where the coastal areas usually have airports, railway systems. Based on requirements, the pollution growth, you have to design your transportation better for a betterment of public transportation. So you can see the different types of transportation systems available over here. So this is a structure, so which is accommodating both the roadways and railways, right? Maybe this part you can treat it as a for structural maintenance purposes, okay? And you can see the roadways over here. So which deals with the transportation system where it can plan a highway material design. Okay, so that is how different specializations of civil engineering we just had now. Okay, so let me stop this presentation here, guys. And in the next fourth part of Proud to be a Civil Engineer presentation, I will share you roads, bridges, and dams information. Right. So please wait for the fourth part of the presentation. Okay. Thank you so much.